Have you ever experienced a strange pain in your body that after a few weeks or even months is still painful or uncomfortable? If you have, then you and I, alongside 50.2 million Americans, live with chronic pain. Pain is considered chronic when it persists beyond the healing time, typically lasting 6 months or longer. It can interrupt your life, make you quit work or hobbies, stay indoors all day, and prevent you from fulfilling your goals and dreams. It may even cause you to hate life itself. Although pain is a complex and subjective experience, if you feel pain, it's real, and no doctor, specialist, or any other person should tell you otherwise. Pain frequently carries with it fear, anxiety, and dread, and we can interrupt this cycle when we understand how pain works, what it signals, what makes it worse, and what alleviates it. This leads to research suggesting that understanding your pain can actually change your pain. People with chronic pain deserve to learn that they can be healthy and happy, even with some pain. I am here to help people realize that health should not be interpreted as the absence of disease, but rather as the enhancement of one's capability to live in plenitude. I'm Danna Krouham, and today I'm pleased to present my thesis, Chronic: How Understanding Your Pain Can Change Your Pain. Pain is defined as an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage. And although this definition makes sense, it is not entirely correct. Humans are an emotional, psychological, and social species. And neuroscience shows us that thoughts, emotions, and attentional processes live in parts of our brain that contribute to and may be responsible for pain expression. This means that despite the fact that we experience pain in our bodies, pain is actually constructed by the brain. This view of chronic pain affirms that it is not just biological, but biopsychosocial, model introduced in 1977 by American internist and psychiatrist George Engel. To further understand how this model works, I interviewed experts in the health field and patients living with some type of chronic pain. To uncover what these three components mean, I began by wanting to understand how we as human beings express pain and started by designing through the sociological lens. Sociological components of health and pain may include trauma, abuse, and access to healthcare, to name a few. And knowing that pain is not always an indicator of tissue damage, pain as interpretation, it is our brain's best guesstimate based on all available information. As Virginia Woolf wrote, "Let a sufferer try to describe a pain in his head to a doctor, and language at once runs dry." This insight made me want to learn about other ways we can express pain. And I got specifically intrigued by the wonders and opportunities of art therapy, which is a discipline that incorporates creative methods of expression through visual art media. And according to clinical psychologist and art therapist Ronit Nestel, what makes art therapy stand out from the other therapeutic scenes is that art therapy is a tool to externalize a problem, materializing it through the senses to make it more manageable. And I wondered, how might we help people understand, express, and release their internal pain? I designed Pain Lab, an outdoors interactive experience that helps people of all ages understand and express their pain by visualizing it and sharing it with others by incorporating the senses through tangible materials. On March 27, I held the Pain Lab experience at Fort Greene Park with the help of my classmates. With art therapy principles, I created individual placemats with 6-step instructions guiding people to interact with their pain through the senses of color, smell, and touch. They chose however many materials helped them represent their pain and put them all inside a medical test tube. Participants then gave their pain a descriptor that encompassed the overall feeling, followed by placing their test tube on the exhibition rack to release themselves of the pain they carried. The value of a shared experience provided people with a sense of comfort that they are not alone, and that sharing their pain with others brings great value and a sense of relief.
I'm not used to expressing my pain through like the medium of texture or color or smell, so it was an interesting exercise.
It's easier for me to feel like I can make it less of an abstract concept like pain, to make it more, seems more manageable when you can hold on to something, you know?
After 4 hours, Pain Lab was able to attract 65 participants to visualize and engage with their pain in a new physical way. With this experience, I learned that being able to visualize your pain relieves the tension of feeling isolated and can help see it from a different perspective. And that people want to change the negative paradigm around expressing pain without fear of judgment. As Pain Lab bridges how we express our pain and how we see our pain, let's now explore how we feel our pain through the biological lens. Biological pain can include genetics, age, tissue damage, to name a few. And although these are commonly treated with medications and surgeries, they mostly help to solve acute pain rather than chronic pain. A study conducted by Harvard Medical School notes that people with chronic pain reported missing significantly more workdays than those without chronic pain, causing those people to live more than 1/3 of their lives with disability. Maria, who had migraine, told me that if she had listened to her body, she could have avoided the escalation of her pain, which unfortunately resulted in an aneurysm. These insights led me to understand that the problem begins when patients don't know when it's time to visit the doctor, letting time pass by and further affecting their health, climbing from acute to chronic pain. Narrowing it down to the most alarming type of chronic pain, musculoskeletal pain is the underlying diagnosis for 70 to 80% of those living with chronic pain. This problem uncovered a world of symptom checker apps that are empowering patients to take control over their own health. Based on the previous learnings, I asked myself, how might we design a better way for patients with musculoskeletal chronic pain to learn and understand what their symptoms mean to avoid escalating from acute to chronic pain? This led me to create Finley Health, an AI-based self-symptom assessment app combined with lifestyle medicine that leads patients to get a precise reference of symptoms and recommendations for treatment. To learn how it works, let's take a look at Chaya, a 36-year-old woman who has had neck pain for the past month and is not sure when it's time to visit a doctor. Chaya begins by typing in her symptoms, continuing to select the timeline and its intensity. It works similar to a diary. After logging in individual symptoms, Finley's AI technology will search for patterns in her logs, and after Chaya has entered the same symptom multiple times, she will have to complete a pain assessment to better understand where those symptoms are coming from, followed by a lifestyle questionnaire to examine any further possible causes. She can then share her tracking and results with her primary care doctor, which will aid the specialist in reaching a better and more accurate diagnosis to recommend further treatments. Finley also has the advantage of being available on the go when pairing the app with your Apple Watch, so you can always follow up on your symptoms. Finley's goal is to help patients with pain reach wellness and plenitude by preventing their pain from getting to the chronic stage. As the sociological lens has helped us see pain and the biological feel pain, let us now discover how we can be aware of pain through the psychological lens. Thoughts, emotions, and stress are a few psychological components of pain. And as one of the most common chronic conditions in the US, the National Institute of Mental Health estimates that 21 million Americans had at least one episode of major depression in 2020. Out of this number, 1.5 are affected by chronic depression, meaning that 3.3 million Americans live with chronic pain every day. I interviewed Danna Krouham, who is a registered dietitian and chef specialized in chronic depression, where she mentioned that people with depression have chronic inflammation and that food can help rebuild areas of the brain that have been previously damaged. There is a lot of research published around the relationship between diet and depression, and most of it points to the Mediterranean diet. Considered one of the healthiest diets in the world, there is a lot we can learn from it. In 2005, American photographer Peter Menzel and writer Fraithia Luizio traveled the world documenting what the world eats, showcasing meals in 24 countries. This is the weekly shopping of the Revis family from North Carolina, spending around $160. And this is the Mendoza family from Guatemala, spending only $76 on weekly shopping. As we see a different diet, we can also see how depression rates vary, from 5.9 in the US to 3.7 in Guatemala. These findings led me to ask, how might we help people with diagnosed chronic depression revert symptoms through food? This is Belly Brains, a meal kit delivery service for people with diagnosed chronic depression intended to heal the mind and body by working with nutritional foods that boost mood and energy levels. Although there are countless options out there, none of them are meant to nourish both the body and the mind. As a subscription-based and time-based system, we begin to see mood and energy differences after a few months of eating Belly Brains by repeating this same cycle. By having discovered how to eat and what to eat, Belly Brains also serves as an educational experience so customers can apply these same learnings when making nutrition decisions. Through powerful, intentional, and nutritious foods, Belly Brains intends to heal, relieve, and revert chronic depression symptoms for every U.S. adult. This biopsychosocial point of view of pain is meant to unfold the power those in pain have over their pain by learning that understanding our pain can help us change our pain. I hope these tools and experiences with a unified biopsychosocial approach can help you understand that even with pain, we can ultimately reclaim control over our mind and body and live in plenitude. I want to thank and acknowledge all of my friends and family and POD cohort for supporting and loving me throughout this wonderful journey. Thank you.
I wanted to ask you something that I'm, forever fascinated by, this idea of, I think synesthesia is actually the wrong term, but this idea of either like making pain visible or making it tactile, touchable. Can you tell us a little bit more about sort of some of the discoveries that people made? They seemed very surprised that they could actually do it. You gave them a structured experience in order to explore, right?
Yeah, so it was really interesting because people are used to talking, as I'm saying, about pain and feelings in social circles, in their bedroom, or in therapy. And when you come to one of these, an experience like this, and try to make your pain into a tangible thing, everyone is surprised. They didn't know that a match could represent a fire they had inside that is hurting, or a soft and squishy thing could represent that when they touch their arm, it hurts. So, and it was also interesting to see that a lot of people were coming in, either pairs or family or separate, and it seemed like a gathering because people started connecting with each other and saying like, hey, I noticed that you put a match and you put a black bead. What does that represent for you? So all of these conversations sparked based around the table.
Well, now I don't get to ask my next question.
I'm sorry.
Because I was wondering, actually, because again, this is such a private and a personal thing, and the idea of self-reporting pain is such a huge, contentious, difficult issue in medicine and healthcare in general. The conversion from turning this to some sort of personal exploration to a shared experience must have been fascinating. I'm sure this has sort of never happened before.
A lot of people were not besides not being used to talking about pain publicly, they never took pain outside of their household or outside of a closed relationship.
Or that doctor-patient meeting when they're like charting on their computer the whole time.
Exactly, closed space. And it was really interesting to also see kids and adults interact with one another that they didn't know each other and started saying, because children started getting this idea that for them, pain was my glasses hurt, they hurt my nose, or I miss a friend, and that is pain for them. And then they talked to another woman, and then the woman was like,
I'll tell you what pain is.
I'll tell you what pain is. Yeah, exactly. So it was really interesting to see
wait, kid.
how those parties...
Gets worse.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see how those parties interacted with each other and actually build a bond, if I may say, around expressing pain.
Yeah, I know, that's lovely. That's wonderful. Last question. Did this project, maybe an easy question, but did this project make you think differently about pain?
Oh, 100%. I started with pain in my knee a couple of weeks or months ago, and I actually went through all of this process of going to the doctor, to PT, to everything, insurance, and it is a hassle. So definitely we as designers have the task to do something about it and let people know that they can do something about managing their own health.
Nice. Next phase of your career?
Excuse me?
Next phase of your career?
Yes.
All right.
If I could, yes.
You've heard it here. So thank you, Danna.
Thank you.